Thank you guys for being here today. My name is Patrick Gomez. I'm a senior writer at People Magazine, and I'm going to be introducing some people that I'm sure you're far more excited to see than me. So let me get right to it. We have Darien Sills-Evans, Katey Sagal, Judd Hirsch, Jermaine Fowler, David Koechner, Jobrani, Baryshnikov, and Rell Battle.
Hey audience.
Just a little musical chairs before we start.
Okay.
So I have some fantastic questions from you guys that we're going to get to as well. But to start off, I kind of want to hear, this is, obviously we know there was a source material for this, or I'm not sure if everyone knows that there was a source material for this. So I'd love to kind of hear the story of how this came to be a TV show, because that's not how it started.
Well, the show was adapted by from a Tracy Letts play, the original Superior DONUTS, and yeah, that's right, clap, woo! And
$450,000.
Is that true? And the CBS had Bob Daly, Neil Goldman, and Garrett Donovan developed the show, and we shot it. The first pilot was shot earlier last year, and it didn't go, and then we attached the lovely Katey Sagal and the amazing Judd Hirsch to the second go around, and that one got picked up. So that was awesome. We also added Darien Sills-Evans and Baryshnikov to the cast, and the original we shot with Maz and Dave, and Rell was in the original one also. Yeah, and
you fired everybody else.
Yeah,
right?
I did. We fired 2 people, and
tough to be an
It's
actor.
tough. Hey, Hollywood's tough. Sorry, guys. It's truth. Hey, I'm sorry. People get
They
fired.
didn't have the look. I'm playing. No. Can't get by the first reading.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, gotta fire people.
We did.
But that's how it got started.
Nice. And that actually gets right into a question already from the audience. Emily Hinkler, thanks for joining us. Hi. Thanks for waving. She first wants to say happy belated birthday to Judd.
Oh, thank you.
Baby.
27 years old.
63, you know.
But she also,
But you get on one of these shows, you got to lie like crazy, you know?
that's what acting is, right?
Yeah.
There you
Otherwise
go.
you can't last, you know what I mean? Nothing for next year. You know what I mean?
But she was curious what went into adapting this, because it wasn't turning a play into a movie that is also just a single story. This was adapting it into something that potentially could go on for years. And what went into the thought process of how to transform that single play into a series that could go on?
Keeping the story intact and keeping the soul of the play alive. Honestly, you just can't adapt something and forget why it was successful before. And we knew when we shot the first pilot something was off, and we're missing those key elements, and we found them. Yeah. I didn't want to say it. This is birthday. Yes, it was Judd and Katey. Yes. Jesus Christ, Judd. Those are the things that we had.
And I guess, and this is for everyone now, what is the key to Superior Donuts? What was the important thing that made this show unique and a story worth telling?
Oh, I think, and Jermaine has said this 1,000 times, it's the gap between his generation and mine, and the surroundings of Chicago, and to try to make this place work, which was really, in a way, going down because of the old-fashionedness and the grit that I continued to want to just keep the way it was, and as the first episode, the pilot, he comes in and just says that he's going to work here and change the whole thing.
Yeah.
In 5 seconds, he walks in and says, "I'm going to change the whole thing."
And I get the damn job.
Yeah.
Well, he's owned the shop for 46 years in Chicago, North Side, and the area is changing. It's being gentrified, and he has one of the last shops in the whole city that still, has been around for that long, and everything's been changing to these soulless corporations, and like Best Buys and Starbucks and stuff. And I go into the shop not just to get a job, but just to tell him, you've got something here, and you got to remind the world how important this is and how amazing it is. And He knows that deep down. He's forgot it. He's kind of just lost that spark that he had before. And I come in to remind him how great his shop is and how people need to know that.
It's a little bit modern day Chico and the Man, no?
Well, I don't know about Chico and the Man.
Modern day.
This is a Jewish Chico and the Man.
Chico and the Jew. It's a black Chico.
As you can see, we are.
Blico and the Jew.
That's how the show is.
So the whole place has been peopled with the people who have already been there. Katey, I've known Katey since she was a kid. She became a cop. I knew her father, and Koechner has been coming here for years because 25 years. So he's one of those people that just belongs there, And I mean, there's no way to eliminate Koechner because he just won't go home. He doesn't got a home.
You mean Tush?
Well,
Tush, yeah.
Tush, yeah.
Of course, there's no way to eliminate Koechner.
Right. I keep calling him.
But I think what becomes important to people are things they grew up with, touchstones, places that are familiar. The other night, my wife and I had dinner on Sunset, and we had an Uber driver take us home, and he narrated the entire ride home, so much so like, oh, you're just an oddball, you're not going to stop talking. But he grew up here, and he was really bemoaning the way the Sunset Strip had changed. And, he said, there's the Roxy and the Rainbow Room. That's not long for this place. Those places are going away. And that's a little bit what this is like. Like, this was old Uptown. This place has been here for 50 years. It's part of everyone's life. And so it was important. Plus, it's kind of a community center for all of the characters that are in this show. Like, this is our touchstone. This is our place. Without this, we'd all feel a little bit lost. So I think that...
So we really feel like we're in Chicago almost all the time.
But I think that resonates with, hopefully, with audiences. Like, what is it? What's a touchstone? What's a place that makes you feel better? Like, I know when I go back to my hometown, there's certain places I want to eat. Same for my wife when we go to her place. And so there's things that you don't want to change in life, that you want some permanent, something that reminds you that it's going to be okay. I think that might be part of it.
And there's a level of authenticity, I think, as well, because you can kind of see in one of our characters yourself. You have her character, Maya, and Katey's character, myself and Jermaine. You can kind of see who you might be if you were in this neighborhood. So you kind of feel it feels more honest, I think.
It's kind of a it's an extended family. It's that's the vibe that you want to get from the show, with a lot of different points of view. I think what drew us all to the material was that it was very current, and it has a sort of a snapshot of the world that we're living in now, and it has it has a lot of different points of view. And
Drop
it has
the mic.
Anna, sweet Anna.
Jesus, Anna.
Usually it's after you say something, then
That
you
was
drop it.
actually pretty good.
She loved what you said. She dropped her mic.
She did.
I just want to add one thing. I'm sorry. I think that the original play, or the author, I never saw the play, but I know what Tracy Letts kind of was thinking about, and I think it has to do with the fact that it's a donut shop, and that it's a cheery place in a kind of a lousy, atmosphere, a very difficult atmosphere, surrounded by everything that isn't like donuts. And I think that's the reason that they wanted to do this as a series, so that it's like the safe place to be at home, also the happy place. I remember we had an argument at one time, and I had to stop the argument, and I said, this is a donut shop. This is where we come to have donuts and be happy. This is where we tell stories about the Cubs, right? And so I think it's like, if anything happens outside, it's going to be all right for us here. There go a television series.
It's something that's relatable.
Because some series are about nothing. You know what I mean? But this series is about something. It's about thousands of donuts. Thousands of donuts. Which we do eat. God. Next year we'll all be a little bit larger. Not you, darling. No. No, I didn't mean you, nor you. How could she get larger?
Just the ladies? I'm worried
Just
about
the ladies.
guys.
Yeah, what about you guys?
Well, we will just...
You may not get larger either. There you go, generation.
So I have a question from Marla, and I'm going to try this. Kotovsky? Close? Great. Thank you so much. She wanted to kind of hear the origin story of how each of you
What's your last name? Katowski, not Katowski?
Katowski, Richard's sister.
Are you serious? Okay, so I have to say something. So I've worked with Richard Katowski in Chicago, and maybe you can tell the story better. When do you know what the whole story? You know the whole story of Superior Donuts with your brother. So her brother is kind of a legendary theater figure in Chicago. He had the Mariachi Theater Company forever in Chicago. I did a play there with Richard years ago, detective story. Not very good. I wasn't that great, but great production. Richard was the original Arthur in Superior Donuts. Yeah, when they workshopped it, it was going to go to Richard, and just as a matter of course, and it's making you teary-eyed thinking about your brother right now, isn't it? I could tell you're wiping away tears. Is that correct? Now, stop me if I don't tell the story correctly. The best brother? Well, I'm a brother too, so I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that. He's the best brother. You are, brother, man. He's the best one. So Richard, I mean, he's a very passionate man. He was passionate about theater, and I'm sure he still is. And so when they workshopped Superior Donuts, it was Richard Katowski. He was the original Arthur. And then they took it to Steppenwolf, which we've all heard of, Steppenwolf Theater Company in Chicago. They were going to take it to Steppenwolf, and they just, as a matter of course, because they have, season ticket holders and all that stuff, they have to think about money, right? So they end up offering it to Michael McKean, thinking he's not going to do it. He says yes, because the material is so good. So he does it in Chicago. They take the play to Broadway, and I cannot imagine what your brother must have gone through every step. First of all, it fucking goes to Steppenwolf. Are you kidding me? Which, come on, I mean, that's a good equity job, right? You're going to get insurance. Then it goes to Broadway. That's another dagger in the heart, right? But then they take it to where? To Washington, D.C. Is that where your brother played it? Yeah. So finally, he gets a run. At what theater in D.C.? John. Where's John? I don't know. I'm here, but I don't know. So anyway, your brother got to do the show in Washington, D.C. for how long? 3 months. That would have covered insurance probably. Yes, go ahead.
There's an insurance thing there, but that's and then he did it in Chicago at Mariachi.
At Mariachi they did it. Fantastic. So anyway, there's Richard's sister here. Give it up for Richard. But you had a question.
Did that answer your question?
I just wanted them to know he was the original Arthur. Of course.
Did he look like me?
Twins.
Twinsies.
What was the question?
The question was how each of you came to this project. What was your audition process like? What was the process
like?
like?
I just want to mention none of us would be here without your brother Richard. That's true. That's true. Jermaine, you were the genesis of this project, right? You came on first?
I guess so. Yeah.
You guess so?
Yeah, I believe I did.
Okay, I was first.
I think I came on first. I believe I did. And no, I think you and Moss came on first.
Oh, you were on first.
You sure?
Yeah.
Who's on second?
Oh, don't be so humble. Okay.
Didn't
I'll tell this
CBS
sound like who's on first?
Jermaine is such a young, talented, charismatic actor that several networks were vying for his services, and CBS was able to lock him up, and they had him on a deal, and then they brought this project. And did they bring several projects to you, or just this one?
I had one in development before, and then this one they had, and they wanted me for, and I said yes to this one.
Was
So
the one
boom.
before like an NCIS spinoff?
I wish. That'd be dope as hell, man.
So Jermaine comes on, which helps get the project moving, gets it some momentum, right?
Yeah.
And the next person they hire is Maz,
Right?
right? This is
Yeah,
this
because
is yeah.
and
Let
Jermaine's
Moz-
so nice that he contacts me, and we went and had a coffee, and we got to know each other. And I was like, what a cool guy.
Yeah.
And here's what was happening. I think we were shooting like in a week or something, and we had nobody else. It was just me and you. It was gonna be a 2-man show. We would have had to play all the parts. I was like, who am I gonna be? I can do Arthur if you want me to do Arthur.
I'll do Randy.
Yeah. So no, they were trying to get it all together. So it was you, then me, and then out of that group, then you, right? And then we went off and shot the pilot. And then they recast, and actually Rell was in too. And then,
Rell was in it also,
yeah.
with Sweatpants.
Then everybody else showed up.
Yeah.
So then they thought they had something. They knew they still had Jermaine, and they thought, how can we hold on to him? Let's do it again. And here's something, as actors.
Were you leaving? You were quitting.
We all think.
You thought it stunk, so you were going to try to get out.
To keep a job, it's only just doing your job. And the reason they recast the other people in the show had nothing to do with them or their talent. Nothing. Things are so much out of our control, and the thing I try to remember all the time is anybody that's hiring us as actors, they have 10 people standing on their shoulders. And really the thing that we as actors have is no one on our shoulders except ourselves. Like, we just go do our job. We don't care. We plow the fucking field, right? We're the horse. You put the plow behind us. Which way do you want me to go? That's all we can do.
David, I feel you on my shoulder.
That's all we can do.
I feel you right on my shoulder.
For whatever reason, people get cast or recast. You just dig down and keep doing what you do. And so for whatever reason, they decided, okay, we want to redo this show again. And then they found all of these other wonderful people, and I'll let you talk about how you came to that. What's your name?
I'm the guy with the big shoulders. I carry the show. No, I don't. No, it really was a get together. I wasn't there in the original pilot, but the point was that CBS really truly wanted this show because they saw everything in it, and so they would have done probably another pilot. They really were the ones who wanted this particular show. I don't know how long it took you guys. 5 years to get this on? About 5 years? Yeah. So you can see it's not like an overnight thing, right? So we're coming back for the next 4 years. And,
didn't you lobby her?
Somebody said that through me.
Didn't you
Judd came to me.
Oh, and then Katey and I were in an episode of The Big Bang Theory. She was playing the girl's mother, and I was playing the young man's father, and and she wasn't there yet. We were doing reading of the show. Right. This part was left out. There was a zero. We had somebody reading that part, and
well, don't you know what really happened though? Wait a minute, you have to hear this.
Oh yeah.
Well, they were reading all these younger women.
Yeah.
And then they got you. And then they realized this is not a. Then they thought, oh, let's age it up a little bit because then we have you and then me and then so we sort of.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like because they were trying to find.
It was a
love interest for you or a love interest
for Arthur. The original pilot was a love interest for Arthur, and she it just didn't really work with the story. We felt like it's a better story if you knew her from childhood, especially because it's a story about just growing. So we just felt like it was a lucky. I was already on I did a pilot for CBS that was on hold, and it was kind of like they were going to pick up that pilot for mid-season or they were going to pick up Superior Donuts for mid-season, and it was the first time in my life. I mean, this was a really great situation where they called me and they said, well, if you'll go be in Superior Donuts, then we'll decide if we pick up Superior Donuts, you'll be in that one. If you pick up this one, you'll be in that one. I was like, really? Are you kidding? And then I read Superior Donuts, and I was happy to be over there. So not that the other one wasn't great. The other one was really good, but it was a really awesome situation. I kind of came in. You were already. I was last minute. I think you were. We were waiting for you. Actually, I think
we were waiting.
Yeah.
There was rumors of Katey Sagal coming. I was like, when I heard that, I felt like, oh, they're really they got Judd Hirsch and Katey Sagal.
And then when I was with Judd the day before on The Big Bang Theory, and he was going to go the next day to the table, he said to me, read this. You should do this. You should do this. I said, well, what is it? I don't even know what it is. He said, just say yes. We'll have a great time. That's what he said. Just say yes.
No, it's really true. It's so true because I read back to these guys while we were still reading it, and I said, I think I got Katey Sagal. and the producer said, you sure? You sure? I said, no, I think I got Katey Sagal. Shh, here she
exactly
comes.
how he said it.
So, Maz, how did you come on board?
I came on board, so I was there at the beginning. Yeah, I came on board because I think the writers are represented by the same agents as me, and then my manager called me up and he goes, "Hey, there's a pilot and there's a Middle Eastern guy in it, and his name is Maz." And he goes, "I think they are based it on you." And I go, well, okay, what do we do now? And he goes, not only that, but he goes, they have the same agent as you. And I was like, oh. I go, well, call the agent. So then he called the agent, and then the agents asked the guys, and the guys actually said, well, they said it was actually not based on me. It was another character that one of the writers, he based it on a character that he knew, like in his neighborhood, but I guess they were looking for a Middle Eastern name, and they used my name, which is weird, because usually you go, like, use Muhammad or Ali, or Muhammad Ali. But they used Maz, so then my representation pushed hard. This is the first time, like Katey said, with her having the options, this is the first time I've ever had a chance where they said, you don't have to audition, go meet with them. So I went and sat down and met with them. I said, listen, guys, I mean, if I could do this character, like I've been doing this kind of a character my whole life, and I know these characters, so we had a good conversation, and they said, okay, you got it. And that was it. And that was the first time I've had an offer like that. It was really cool. And then I went and met with this guy at the Coffee Bean over in Studio City, and it was cool. And we had friends in common. And then he told me later on that one of the comedians that I know from kind of like is a colleague and kind of around the same age, he was like, yeah, man, he was my dad's friend and he was my mentor. And then I was like, shit, I'm old. So that was that. And then how did you come on? And then we'll go down everybody.
Well,
How about Anna? How did Anna come on?
Anna had you had one of the best auditions. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I had
Okay.
an ideal audition situation because I was in LA for the first time, so I was very like, it's Hollywood. So I was feeling I was kind of going on a lot of auditions. I was here shooting a few episodes of the Amazon show Good Girls Revolt, so I also kind of didn't feel like I was here to book something. I was just kind of doing things on the side, and I came, and the first audition for this they didn't tape, which I find to be uncommon, and I had never auditioned for multicam before, so I felt like I just like ran in and like waved my arms. I also had it in my head that this character was a brunette. I was like, she's smart, they'll never cast a blonde, because like I live in 1950 apparently, I don't know. So I just kind of also assumed I wasn't getting it, so I was very relaxed, and then I was called back, and I was like, wow, they really can't find it. They're pulling in blondes for a smart character. I don't know why that was really in my head. And I went in and I did it, and I think Bob Daly was like, you can lower your voice a little bit, because I was like, because like I had never done comedy, and I had never done anything multicam, but they used that tape because then I went back to New York where I normally live, and they used that tape as my test. So I never really had the chance to be super anxious about it, which is, the best gift. And then yeah, I watched some of Jermaine's stand up, and I was like, he'll get better. I'll sign on. He's a work in progress, but yeah, and I thought the material was so smart, so I was so excited to do it. And now I'm in Hollywood.
Much better.
And for someone who says she hasn't done comedy, in all honesty, when we're on set, we're always trying to come up with like the shoot night. David comes from a prolific improv background, so he's got a lot of ideas of like repitching ideas for the second or third or fourth take. And I'm a stand-up. We're all stand-ups, and we're all kind of trying to brainstorm ideas. And I swear to God, she'll come by once in a while. She'll be like, "What if you say, I got to go take a shower?" And we're like, "That's hilarious," or whatever it is. So she's actually a very funny writer as well.
Those who can't do for others. No, but working with stand-ups is different because you guys are so used to generating your own material, which I'm not. But it's fun to do for you.
But you write.
Do you ever see Manchester by the Sea?
Yeah, I was very upset with her after that because I have a daughter, and I saw Manchester by the Sea. I was like, "How dare you? Why were you doing that with that guy?"
Oh, mine works. I was just stealing cake.
How did
Also, Darien had a very, very, very good audition tape, and he got it from that.
Oh man! I thank you for that.
Fucking welcome. It's awesome.
Because my first audition tape was actually for Franco, which I didn't get.
that was for
It was?
you auditioned for his part?
Oh yeah, and so did Rell actually.
You auditioned for his part?
I didn't.
You didn't audition for Franco? Oh,
Well,
it's me.
Franco
Yeah.
needed hair. I think
Franco
that was
needed
what-
hair probably,
yeah,
and
he
Franco
hair.
needed to be like 10 years younger. I'm getting long in the tooth, but it was one of those pilot seasons where you're like, I'm going to kill everything, and then I went in for Superior Donuts, and they were like, thank you very much, goodbye. Just goodbye. And you guys shot the pilot, and I was supposed to get called back for James originally, but they were like, no, not even. And then like after the first pilot got done and you guys were recasting for James, I somehow snuck onto the lot and drugged the producers and got through the test. That was it.
Did they just call you the second time? They said, come on in and
No, the
test?
second time I had to come in and I auditioned like 3 or 4 times for James.
And
the
were you,
second
at any
time.
point, were you like, how many times do these people get?
After a while, I was like, I'm funny enough, motherfuckers. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know, especially as like every audition, James got nerdier and nerdier and more like the way I talked. So I was like, come on, please.
Yeah.
I got kids to feed.
Ever you well.
They would have found the part for you anyway.
So wow.
Yeah,
thank you,
she
Judd.
was that persistent and wouldn't leave.
How did you get it?
I was supposed to have a meeting with them earlier in the season, and it's one of those pilot seasons where you go, well, what dad roles are they casting for? And nothing. There was nothing happening. And then my wife's birthday was actually Tuesday this week, and so she'd booked a trip to Mexico, and it was in the middle of March. And I remember when she booked it, she booked us and then 4 of her girlfriends. So imagine how good it was going to be for me. And I remember when she booked it, I thought, that's the middle of pilot season. I'm probably not going to go on this trip. And on the Monday before we were supposed to take off for her birthday, my manager called and said, good news, bad news. You've been offered Superior Donuts. That's a good news. Bad news, it starts Wednesday to Wednesday, which is exact days of our trip to Mexico. So didn't go to Mexico, but this show shoots 10 minutes from my house. So I'm very happy. So that's how that
How's the
happened.
wife?
And
The
Rell?
wife is happy too.
Wife's very
So
happy.
wait, but she went with her friends.
She went with her friends.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Had a great time.
And
How
we got
about
to
you?
shoot it twice. We shot the pilot twice.
The pilot twice.
Yeah. And what about you?
Rell battle.
I'm not actually on the show. I just pick up Katey's dry cleaning. That's what I do. No, they it was like it was just around that there's this show that needs a young black lead. So they were like, "Yo, you wanna?" They looking for this Franco character, and then the day before the audition, they say, "Oh yeah, they gave it to Jermaine Fowler." Like, okay, that's my man. I knew Jermaine. We do stand up together, so I didn't even go in for it. I was like, "All right, I'm good. I'm chilling." And he's like, "Whoa, you want to play his best friend?" I was like, I got shit to do on Thursday. I guess I'll go in and I went in. No, actually, they made me audition for James. I was going to go for something else, but they said, just come in for James. And I'm like, all right. But he looks like he's older and wears glasses, so maybe that's the guy. That's the best for that. I think I went in and I did that, and I moved to New York. Actually, I moved to New York to do stand up. I was over LA. You know how we get sometimes.
Wait. You did the audition and then you moved to New
I'm
York?
gonna move to New York.
You didn't wait to hear back about the audition?
We know how it is. Pilots, you go, it was fun. All right.
But that's a little extreme, just to move.
That's
back.
a movie.
Yeah, wait for a result.
Well, because I was like, well, if you get it, we shoot how many pilots a year? I mean, or audition for pilots. We just shoot them and just hope something happens, and you never know. And they brought me back in, and I was a guest star on the pilot, the original pilot.
Yeah.
And they brought me up because Jermaine needed a buddy.
Yeah.
And here we are.
So did you move back or are you still
Were you
living in New
mid-flight
York?
when they told you?
I moved back right for the second pilot.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I will say something about this show. This is the only show on television with, take it off. 4 bald guys on the show. 4 bald guys. Only show on television for 4 bald guys.
They make us sit in the back everywhere.
We have a long way to go, people. We are the Rosa Parks of all people.
Well, talking about fighting for rights and oppression, this is a show that is hitting those subjects head on and in a way that is funny while still being poignant and actually having a message. And not to say that most shows don't try and say something. This one's not afraid to more overtly say it.
Yeah.
For you guys, what's the key to putting together a piece that can talk about those messages and yet still be a comedy, still be a CBS sitcom?
I mean, just being honest, quite honestly, we live in a society. It's changing, man. It's. I mean, y'all watch the news. I'm personally sick and tired of watching, sitcoms that are corny as fuck and aren't about anything. And I want to watch something that will move me. And I think our show touches a lot of people. We got a lot of tweets that from people who watch our show who are happy that we're talking about these things, and tweets from people who aren't happy we're talking about these things, but they're still touching people, whether it's negative or positive. And I think our cast and the writers, we do such a good job of just not making it preachy, because the show isn't just about shock value or anything like that. We don't do these jokes.
But let me just add one thing, okay?
Go ahead.
I didn't know this until we got on the show and we started working with each other, but it's actually taken from your life. A lot of it is taken from Jermaine's life.
When I sat down with the producers to discuss the story about Franco, there were a lot of elements about him that I was really I connected to. I'm from Maryland, so is Rell, and we deal with a lot of we do a lot, about gentrification. We talk about that a lot at home, and it's happening, and also police brutality is a big thing everywhere. And during the pilot, we were discussing all these topics, and I told them, I was like, listen, can I just tell you some stories about me growing up? And we talked about it, and they felt a lot of it we could use for the show, and a lot of stuff about my dad we used for the pilot, and a lot of stuff about me growing up back home. And it really, I felt you connect with the character better when you have something to bridge the two things. So with that said, I think that's why our show has so much heart. Because we actually do love each other. I do love. This is my favorite group of people. I'm dead serious, and you see that through through each episode. And so I think that's what's important these days, is just watching people, white, black, female, male, just get along. You know what I mean? It's kind of inspiring to me to watch that. I was in the back laughing at this episode y'all just saw, and it made me smile because we need it. I think we need that.
I think for me, political comedy, that's been my favorite. So whether it was Richard Pryor or Carlin or some of the Smothers Brothers stuff, like some of the stuff, it's just great when any kind of art is saying anything. There's a great line in a Public Enemy song. They go, fuck the game if it ain't saying nothing. So it's like, if you got game but you're not saying anything, what's the point? So that's I got to hand it to the writers, the whole crew, Bob Daly and the creators of Bob Daly, Garrett Donovan, and Neil Goldman, that they are willing to talk about some of this stuff, and it's the most you can on a network show. It's not like we're a political network. We're on CBS. So for me personally, as an Iranian American, I love the fact that they're dealing. I'm playing an Arab guy in it, but which was cool, which I'm fine with. But we had a conversation. There was actually an article in the New York Times about the depiction of Arabs in American film and television, and this has been forever, where you can see that the people from that part of the world have been demonized quite often. There's a great guy. He's a professor. His name's Jack Shaheen. He wrote a book called Real Bad Arabs, REEL Bad Arabs. He studied all these different movies and TV shows, and he showed how these guys have been demonized. And then he made this argument that when you demonize a group like that, it's easier to then attack them and just ban them and do whatever you want, right? So it all leads into the next thing. And so when we were reading that article, I read it and I forwarded it on to the writers, and Bob Daly said, "Hey, I already got this," and he's passed it around, and they were open to having this discussion of making sure that this character that I'm playing isn't always, first of all, not always making references to barbarism, barbaric life back in Iraq, but also maybe like that episode that we had where there's the protests and someone writes "Arab go home," and then Judd's character goes out and says "Arabs welcome," and that is, I think that's a great message to put out there. And we've been talking about if down the line we introduce any relatives of mine, like my wife or somebody, we want it to be someone who's actually a very strong female character, and so I commend them for that, and I think it's great that we deal with these issues.
We're gonna get these hats, yeah. It's good. We're gonna get these hats. There's gonna be "Make America Laugh Again." Out of all that, you know what I mean?
My favorite thing about Maz's character Foz is that he is a capitalist, and he's also Muslim, but also at the same time he's the most American one out of the entire cast. Isn't that crazy? So I think we get a lot of people who see a lot of themselves in Middle America through a Muslim man.
Well, there's a lot of Middle Easterners. There's a lot of immigrants who actually embrace America so much that they hate other immigrants.
Yeah, more than most Americans.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. So the character himself for me is fun because I kind of get to be like the Louis De Palma or the Carla, because I get to say all kinds of crazy stuff and get away with it. I do, but at the same time, I feel, like I said, that when we touch on some of these subjects, and again, it's great to have these people as friends just in general, because I think we all kind of agree politically. So there's been times we've been doing a table read and something comes up and I was like, I'm not sure if I'm really comfortable with that. And Anna actually pointed out, she's like, are you comfortable with that? I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not comfortable. I love that.
I'm not dissimilar from my character.
He and I are always
whistleblower.
But he and I are always talking about politics and like breaking it down. And it's just, I love that. I love all that. So it's nice to have all these people.
But I think part of what you guys might take for granted, because you're all such naturally funny people, is that stuff that is that political isn't always palatable. And what I feel like I've been learning is that we have this really politically charged material sometimes, but you guys are so masterful with really basic comedy things of like rule of three and your timing, and so it's the combination, I think, that makes everyone also able to laugh. And I think it was in his election coverage, I think Colbert said something like, you can't fear something if you're laughing at it. And I think so much of what is ugly in the world right now is going on because there's a lot of fear. So just your sheer ability to make people laugh, it's pretty cool, guys.
Make America laugh again.
I love it. We need the hats. We have some people that wanted to know about like future stuff. I have a question from Denny Logan, who said that there is I really like that woman Gladys. She was really funny. Are you going to have her on the show again?
Which one was Gladys?
She was Gladys right here.
I kind of figured that might be the case.
Hey, beautiful. We got to have you back. You were fucking funny.
Gladys. One day at a time, Gladys.
But are you Denny Logan? Oh, she wrote the...
Yeah, I had a feeling that was what this was, but I wanted to segue that into what kind of...
Just real quick, she got an upgrade, right? Where you were your background,
and they bumped you up.
No, it was my role, and then they took it away from me, and then they
They gave it back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I love your hustle.
Right, of course.
They all
And
thought
you
were
killed
funny.
it, by the way. You got a laugh.
really funny. Not even Joey was funny as hell.
But I wanted to segue that into tell us a little bit about what we are going to see in the future episodes, and what kind of subjects are you tackling? What kind of storylines are we going to see developing that we've already seen maybe the beginnings of in the episodes?
Without giving away too much, the one after this that we are rehearsing is it deals with minimum wage and how it is it livable or isn't it livable? You know, and we talk about that and how Franco is trying to make ends meet while making $10.50 an hour at this donut shop. He feels very guilty about that and feels he wants to help me, but he can't afford it because he just doesn't have the resources for it. So that's one episode, a topic we're tackling in the next episode. The one after that is we get to I don't know if you guys remember Franco. He's an artist, and he's into spray painting, graffiti, and all that type of stuff. But he's very self-conscious about his work. He's never really done anything with it that's been. He has never done a gallery or anything like that. So Arthur and the crew give him I guess just the confidence to do a gallery. But the thing is, we find out through the episode the reason why he's been so self-conscious and so he can't take criticism very well at all, and it's because he has daddy issues, and his dad is the one that told him not to chase. Shut up! Is not the one who's the one who told him not to chase his. I know. But I used to do stand up, and my dad didn't want me to do stand up because he was an asshole, and so I love my dad, but that's how most dads are. The parents don't understand; they really don't, and so
he's not going to play the part. He's not going to come and play the part.
I hope he does. I wanted Dave Chappelle to play the part, but he's busy, and. But hopefully we get someone really, 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 really good. But we touch on all these emotional things, and we do surround it amongst political issues. But it's the crux of the show is our relationships with each other and our chemistry.
Nice. Katey, there was a couple questions here for you. I'm going to try and round them up into one overarching one. Most of them have to deal with the fact that you've played both incredibly dramatic characters in very dramatic pieces and great sitcom characters in very funny pieces. Which do you prefer one over the other? What made you decide that it was the right time to come to a sitcom here?
Well, I tend to commit to whatever is in front of me to do. So I would say that doing a dramatic role is not that different than doing a comedy for me, because I'm an actor. I'm not a stand-up in that, the funny or the drama comes out of the situation, comes out of the material. So I would say, I don't really, was the question, do I have a preference? No, it's not really, it's really, I don't have a preference. It depends on the material. If the material's good, or it's something that I feel that I can really discover and explore, then either way is good for me. And I wasn't necessarily looking, they always have this misconception that once you've worked a really long time, you just get to decide what you're looking to do next. And I got to tell you, that is not the truth. The truth is that it's a perfect storm of them wanting you and you wanting them, and it never kind of like there's 20 projects and you get to decide what's next to do. That's just not really been my story. And so I wasn't really thinking necessarily to come back to this world because I had done it for so long. And
glad you did.
And I wasn't
7
sure.
years, wasn't it 7 years?
11 years.
11
I did Married with Children, and then
I love you, Katey.
So I hadn't really
And
thought
still looks the
of it.
same.
It's very true. It's true. She's hot as hell.
No, Don. Those HD cameras kind of they're different than video.
Your hair got bigger.
My hair got bigger.
Yeah.
Now it's small again. But so what happened was, though, I went and I did the Big Bang show, and it was such a good experience over there. I was like, wow, this is not bad. I was really nervous. I hadn't done anything like this in front of a live audience for, 15 years. So I was nervous, but I got sort of that excited nervous. I thought, well, this is fun. And so, but I didn't have a plan. It sort of showed up, and I'm not one to I get insecure enough that I'm like, yes, okay, I'll do it. No, but the material was really great. And then when I saw who was involved, and I wanted to work with Judd, I think Judd's fantastic. And I really saw, I thought Jermaine would get better too, but, and he has proven me right. And then I knew this one was involved, and I knew this one was involved. And so it really just felt like, a fun thing to do. And it has been. It really has been. I like the material, and I think it's still kind of finding its way, and so it's fun.
I'll tell you that we are very lucky, and this is easy to say because it's not bullshit. We actually do really like each other as a cast, and everyone here is first and foremost a professional. And then secondly, they're all amazing human beings. So when we have a workplace that we all are looking forward to coming to work to play together, it's just an added bonus. And I hope we get to do it for 8 more years or 11.
Yeah, there
He
you go.
has 5 children.
100 more episodes is
5
what he said.
children, David Koechner
I need
has.
this.
He needs 8 more
Hey, he's really
years.
selling the show.
Well, I know we are unfortunately running out of time. So before we go, I wanted to go down the line quickly from each of you because we have a lot of SAG members, aspiring SAG members out here. What do you feel like is the most important advice you got in your career that helped you get to where you are?
Ooh, start with Darien. Wow.
I never really got any good advice. I just kept trying. You know, the thing is, if you gotta take a chance. If you fail, then guess what? You got 2 chances. If that fails, then guess what? You got 3 chances. You got to keep going. I was just telling Dave before we got in here, I got my SAG card being background on Law and Order's first season, you know, a million years ago, just carrying bikes, doing pizzas. I was like every black background dude on Law and Order. And I loved it, you know. You got to keep moving, keep hustling. That's it.
How about for any of the rest of you?
I don't know if there's such a thing as advice, other than you're good. You're enough. You are enough. And when we don't think we are, then now we're already in our way. So the only other thing, two more things. Number one, no one is in your way except yourself. Because when we look at other people like, he or she got that? They didn't. You didn't get that, whatever. You've got to get out of your own way. And the only other advice I give is read Outliers, which is the Malcolm Gladwell book about the 10,000 hours theory. Just put the work in. The Beatles wouldn't be the Beatles if they didn't spend 10,000 hours in the cavern in Germany.
Yeah, I would just say too. I would just say, you know, it's a long game. It's a long game, and it's not. It's things don't happen overnight. It's a myth. I grew up in Hollywood. My parents were in this business, and it was never. I never saw this as like, oh, it'll change my life. It'll happen easily. Everything will be perfect once this happens. It's a long game, and it's a lot of hard work. And I think that if you can continue learning along the way, if you can just continue working your thing, even if it's in your room, even if it's, you know, take a class, go and act with another person. You know, the harder part about being an actor, you know, it's different than being a musician where you can learn your instrument and write a song. You know, you have to have other people to work with. So, you know, I always say that, you know, continue to coach or continue to study, because it's a long game, and you want to stay interested to stay in the long game. So it's not always just about getting the job.
I'll piggyback on that, and I'll say create your own opportunities as well. So as part of what you were just saying, stay active. So even if you're not being cast, because you're not going to be walking down the street and someone goes, you, and you know, you're my next discovery. You know, if that happens, run the other way. That's a scary dude. No. So what I'm saying is create, especially nowadays, you know, like Katey was saying, you know, you got to you either stay in a class or you get a few of your friends and you go shoot something with your phone, or you put on a play, or you do a one person show, or you learn an instrument, or, you know, just stay active so that even when you go, so one of the best things in the world for me doing stand-up was going into auditions quite often and being like, okay, let me hurry up and get this done because I got to travel. I got a gig tonight. Like, he took the audition and moved to New York. So, I mean, that's some crazy shit. But it's good to have other things so that it keeps you busy. You're enjoying the process. And then also, I think you're more in the moment. You're not as desperate.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you don't really have to wait for anybody anymore. You know, there's YouTube, there's local theater, there's stand-up comedy, there's, you know, you can kind of make your own fan base at this point. Like, you look like Kevin Hart, for example. You know, he had been in the game. They said, well, we don't know about this guy. He created a fan base of Twitter followers and Instagram. You know, he created his own audience, and that's why he has the power he has now. And if you do that continuously, one day you can fetch Katey Sagal's laundry. So you work really hard.
I think anybody that wants to start something like this, and nobody's going to really want to start this from nowhere. I don't think anybody gets an idea all of a sudden, you know, and then they wake up one day and said, you know, I should be an actor or a comic one or a serious one. I think what happens is that somebody gets terribly curious about themselves, and they say, I think I can make somebody believe me. I really do. And I went to acting school because I had the feeling to begin with that I said, if that guy up there can do that, I saw movies forever, and then the movies got even more. They got better and better because I started seeing movies in the 1950s, and then all of a sudden I see them going on and on and on. The foreign movies coming, and we go like this. But I swear I'm one of these guys. I know I'm one of these guys, right? And so your imagination becomes very, very big. And that's what starts you. I think there's nothing else but your imagination about yourself. I had my acting teacher said, there's no one in this class that is the same. You all think and know you are very, very individual. He said, so we start with that. So if you get up here, don't try to act somebody else. And don't say, I'm nervous, because it won't pay. Just take what you got, bring it forward, and see if your imagination was that I can do that, do it. Do it. If you don't have any imagination, get the hell out of the business.
I feel kind of crazy giving advice because I don't feel like I have anything figured out at all, but I think what Judd just said was really true for me about this job, because like what I explained to you guys, I didn't think I was right for it. I didn't think I was going to get it. So instead of doing what I thought they wanted, I was like, well, what would I do? Well, what would this look like on me? And I was like, I'm going to make her bubbly, and some things that kind of weren't on the page. So I would just say, don't try to be anyone else in auditions, and don't try to do the version of it you've already seen, because that's never what ends up working.
What if the character was like me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
What if the character's like me? I remember I was in a play one time, and the character that Neil Simon wrote was somebody from some Scarsdale, some shopping type person from Scarsdale. He talked like this, She said to her friends, we ought to go out once in a while. All right. The person that auditioned for the part was from Texas. And when they heard her, because she had this interior feeling, it was like, she brought along something like that, and he just thought she was so tender and made the character so much more interesting. He wrote the Texas girl. Wow. She didn't come along because she was going to play Scarsdale. She came along because she said, "What if it was like me?" And Neil Simon just rewrote the part.
Did you study in
and
one
she
of
won
those?
the Tony.
Story.
Did you study in one of those like the legendary New York schools? Or where did you study?
I studied in 3 schools. I studied at the Berghoff Studio by Herbert Berghoff was the guy in Udahagen, and that was a great place. And I studied at this. Actually, there was a wonderful actress who was in a studio. And if you get lucky, if you get the right kind of person, if you get drawn to the right kind of person, and she was teaching improvisation, and she was the kind that would get up there and do one herself. You know what I mean? We got dangerous. She said, the guy. I remember the guy said, "How much is your watch worth?" He took his watch and he said, "What if I throw it out the window?" Wow, we were all going to say, is he really going to do this? And the teacher was saying, throw it out the window. Go ahead. Because she knew he wouldn't, but he'd carry it as far as he could. And that's what improvisation is all about. And then she did one for herself. And we're all sitting there going, I don't believe it. This is a famous actress. And she just bared herself in front of us. And we said, hey, that's the best lesson I've learned in my life as far as acting is concerned. If that woman's going to take that kind of chance, right? I'm going to do that.
Who was it?
Do that. I can't remember her name. But
That famous, huh?
no. She was Swedish. And famous at the time. Remember, I'm rather old, so I can forget these people.
Is that?
And how about for you, Jermaine?
Vivica Lindfors.
There you go.
Vivica Lindfors.
Coming to you.
Nobody's going to remember who Vivica Lindfors is. Remember Uda Hagen?
They do.
She was
Look,
very
look.
much like Liv.
Look.
Yeah.
I would say stay inspired. That was one thing I learned because working in this industry, it has a proclivity to take away your enthusiasm for everything. So just stay inspired. It was weird because when I wanted to start acting because I used to watch a bunch of Nicolas Cage movies, And Con Air was awesome. And when I was a kid, I was like, I want to do that. And Face Off. I wanted to be like Nicolas Cage.
Oh my God.
And so I wanted to, but I had no one in my family ever was an actor or had a dream. And if they did, they forgot it, growing up. So when you have 4 kids, I guess, when you living in Maryland, you don't really have a dream anymore. But it's true. They didn't push me to do what I wanted to do, so I had to learn. My grandma gave me a video camera when I was 16. I used to make videos when I was younger, and I wanted to direct, I wanted to write, and I wanted to act, and no one was gonna tell me no. But you push yourself, and you keep that enthusiasm, because you've all heard this stuff. You all heard all this advice before. You just got to do it. Make like Nike and do it. Just do it. You know what I mean? Just get off your ass and fucking do this shit, because it's going to be hard, but keep the enthusiasm and stay inspired, because that's going to keep you happy throughout this dream and and chasing it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, get up. Go do it now. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys.